Hi, good morning. Obesity. We don't mean obesity when it is reflected in the physical body. This is just a reflection, perhaps a result of something. Before the obesity being reflected or epitomized in a body, it was a mental obesity. And before that, there was a spiritual obesity. When we speak about obesity, we refer it to American culture. The term is correct, what you see. The perception is correct, but when you scrutinize the situation, the US is only what other nations are. What is an empire in the world? An empire be kind of like power of a lot of nations, powerful. You don't need to go to what the empires did or what they do in the world. US is the reflection of perhaps the mirror of Europeans. This is what are the Europeans. But the Europeans, on the one hand, they criticize the American. On the other hand, they were the origin of this culture. Sometimes we are victims of certain things. We plant the seeds, and when we see what the crops are, we don't want to be involved or to be hit by criticism. European, as I said, on the one hand, what they say about the American, they say Americans are brutal. They don't have art. Everything is gigantic, unlike the Europeans. Everything is artistic, especially French. There is la douceur, softness. American, everything is brutal. This is how they say, It's not true. This is what they say. As I said, it is just a reflection. Europeans, they speak about certain things in terms of liberty, freedom. When it is reflected in the United States, trespassing limits without limits, they don't want to see that. I'm talking about Europeans. Other nations are involved as well, not necessarily being a complicit, direct complicit in this culture, as I'm going to explain it, by their indifference. They can be victims of their indifference being involved in this culture, which is gigantism. Obesity has nothing to do with overnourishment. Nothing. It has nothing to do with the neurotic aspect of depression as they might think or think about it. They can be, yes, but be categorized in a secondary or maybe the tertiary position. The real factors, the source is not there. Everything has to do with the mind, everything has to do with spiritual or the people's belief. There are some three phases, according to the way I see them. Three phases in life, in the American culture. Obesity was not like this in the 50s, in the 40s, after the Second World War. Before was not. Even you see people, you see a person, you don't say obese, you say he is developed. A woman is developed, but we don't use the word, to discriminate the person. Even now, a person shouldn't say that. Fat, they use the word. This is something about the American culture. It's kind of like, unfortunately, I don't say at all levels, but it became more vulgarity in terms of describing something. We don't describe a person as being svelte. We say skinny, that, fat. This is how they are. You say the person, decades in a previous century, there was no such a thing like this. What changes the culture to become like this? As I said, 3 aspects. There are something, in the beginning it says, don't worry. This is the phase of don't worry. Everything is tolerated. There is the permissibility. There is the trespassing. There is everything is in the name of freedom. There is nothing to let the citizen, the person, to think about his limits. People, they follow their desires. They follow, even criminality is glamorized and promoted indirectly. People, they trespass, they go there. They don't know, they left the me. There is no me anymore. They live in the system. It's an extrinsic territory that belongs to the system. Everything is promoted like that. There is here, when you see the person, he is in another territory. Extrinsic is not intrinsic. The word superfluous. What he develops something outside the me. Mentally speaking, he develops something extrinsic than the neural net by trespassing those limits that they were into his intuitiveness, in his intuition. Here, a person is hijacked. Usually when we want to gain muscles or a body, that the body will lift us. I can jump, I can be flexible. I need these muscles, I need this body, I need this force to lift me, to carry me, to be flexible. If it's not flexible, but at least it can, carry me. But in the case of obesity, no. I carry not a body. It's a reverse. I transport a body. This is a repercussion of the mental trespassing limits. Don't worry, everything is permissible in the name of freedom. People, when they find this under the guise of everybody is innocent until proven guilty, people, they trespass the limits. They don't have anything, to do, to think about. I should not cross them. So they live in a second territory, and that territory is not theirs. As I said, they transport a body. The second phase is, be careful if you ever did anything wrong. Don't feel shame about it. So what? That's the second phase. So what? Yes, I did it. Everybody's doing that. So what? Don't touch anything that has to do with the government that we call felony, but we speak about limits or God's limits or something. So what? That's the second phase. Here, what do you have? Remorse of conscience in human being. It's a healthy life. It's a healthy system. It's like an immune system. You have those impulses that pops up to the surface of the conscience to tell the person you're wrong. Person is killing them to the point that that's it. No remorse of conscience. And like the way they say, I'm not referring to the word, the way they interpret it in the United States and the Western world, the way they speak about remorse of conscience, they go to extremes. They say, you should not think because something is a very big disturbance, a turmoil in psychologically speaking. No. Don't go to extremes. Remorse of conscience are there for a good reason, to let the person be in touch with the self. In other words, if you go to extreme to keep thinking, ruminating your thoughts or your wrongdoing up to the point to become desperate, suicidal, that's not good. Remorse of conscience are telling you to go back, rectify your errors, go back to the self. There is hunger, try to feel it. There is thirst, try to feel it. There is something wrong, painful, try to feel it and rectify it. You are with the self. But the attitude of so what? It goes to the extreme neglect. Extremes are not good. That's the middle. You should think about remorse of conscience. This is not the way they interpret it in the world, the Western world. You should learn how to forgive yourself. That's why The person is not with the self. You understand? Because if the person made a mistake, the mistake is there for a good reason. It's an alarm to go back to the self. Now, he is escaping the self, not only by being in a territory outside, extrinsic territory, he is also now with these all narcotics, what they are taking, very dangerous going on in the world. The way I like to be outside the self. I don't want to feel the self. Well, if you dealt with it, if you had dealt with it at early stage, you would have perhaps avoided certain feelings, bad feelings of depression and etc. So the first phase is, don't worry, it's a promoting criminality. The last point, phase, if you have ever done anything wrong, don't go back. Who cares? Don't look back. This is the system of obesity, is a slack. You don't go back. It gets developed. Developed, as I said, it has nothing to do with the overnourishment. Overnourishment and the aspect of depression comes after. Look at the system, how it is. They go, they don't come back, they don't go back. And then look at the way today it is. They claim government to control. Government is overwhelmed. A system of obesity, everybody, whether he is, as you call him, I don't call that. I don't like this word, fat. The skinny person, he is himself fat. You understand? He is fat mentally, spiritually. What is, as I said, epitomized is just the last epitome of something to see it reflected in the physical body. Listen, it's always pleasure, pleasant day, and I see you soon.